I count down my 10 favorite movies from 2021. I've got some thoughts on Big Brain Academy for the Nintendo Switch, and how does Sony Santa Monica's God of War run as a PC game? All that and the latest in everything cool today in The Rundown. Hey, welcome to The Rundown. My name is Victor Lucas. I'm so happy to see you guys here in the Electric Playground. Today's episode is brought to you by the Gaming Stadium. They are Canada's leader in online esports tournament facilitation, and they've got tournaments happening every single weekend that you do not want to miss out on. You can find out all about them at tgs.gg. All right, today's episode is dedicated to Thomas J. Mueller, who said PlayStation needs a Game Pass rival. Xbox has gone for quantity, but PlayStation can blow it out of the water with quality. It is time. And this is obviously something that is percolating around the industry. It was sort of rumored back in December, and this comment came from the rundown that we ran on Friday's episode. It's looking more and more likely that PlayStation is going to have a Game Pass competitor, codenamed Spartacus right now. And there's some new stuff that's popped up. Recently, somebody discovered that there were PlayStation 3 games for sale, playable on the PlayStation 5, or at least they appeared to be available for the PlayStation 5. There were a bunch of different games. This was in the UK. And then also, Phil Spencer, the boss over at Xbox, said that it's an inevitability that there's going to be competition in this Game Pass space, and it just feels like a foregone conclusion that PlayStation is going to be offering something like this. So I suspect we're going to hear something very soon about the direct rivalry between PlayStation and Xbox, and it's very exciting. I know it's a bit weird to be moving more and more into this digital future, but I just love the idea that people have access to this great content in however way they want to slice it up and however way they want to engage with it. And, you know, a great sort of exhibit A with that is God of War on the PC. All right, very exciting stuff going on in video games, but also 2021 had some good stuff going on with movies. We're going to count down the 10 best movies of 2021, starting with number 10, and this is SpiderMan No Way Home. And I think this might surprise some of you out there that I didn't put this higher up on my list. I did have some issues with this movie, but it's really hard to disagree with the fact that it is crazy amounts of fun. They did an amazing job bringing in all kinds of awesome elements from Spider-Man movies in the past. You started to see a lot of the reveals happen with the trailers out there. We saw that some of the villains were going to be in there, but there's a lot more linkage to the nostalgic factor and the nostalgic joy of Spider-Man. But what's most surprising about Spider-Man is how emotionally valid it is, and how fun those elements are, and how smart they are interconnected. Even though if there are some plot holes and some stumbles and stuff, it's pretty damn cool that this is not just a gimmick movie. There's actually a lot of value in the film and a lot to enjoy. And I've only seen it once, but I have been thinking about it ever since I have seen it. And even though I didn't score it super high, it is definitely something that I'm going to be watching again. And my suspicion is that every time you watch a movie like this, you get a little bit more out of it. It's dense, it's packed with all kinds of great MCU allusions and connections to the Spider-Verse in a bunch of different ways. It was clearly made with a lot of love and a tremendous amount of attention to detail, and it's undeniably fun. That's why Spider-Man No Way Home is number 10. Moving in a completely different direction, a different neighborhood in New York, is In the Heights at number 9. This is a musical which focuses on a neighborhood called the Washington Heights in New York City, and it's a Dominican Republic kind of culture that we get to focus on here. And it's just a joyous celebration. It might be a little artificial, it might be a little bit saccharine, but there was no denying the fact that Lin-Manuel Miranda and the other folks that all put this thing together, I'm not sure who the director was, but they did an amazing job of making a movie filled with life and fun and energy and positivity, and I was really moved by this film. I really had a good time watching In the Heights, and you know, even if it doesn't sort of fit the traditional mold of all the stuff that we cover here on EP, it's not a superhero movie, it's not a sci-fi movie, it's not a horror movie. I just was entertained. This, for unabashed sheer entertainment, it's super cool to see tons of people out on the streets singing and dancing and having fun and celebrating life. And man, in the second year of the pandemic, it was very, very appreciated. I watched this with my wife, and we both had a really, really fun time with In the Heights. I also had a great time watching animated movies this year, and number 8 for me is Luca, which was created by Pixar, and it was released on Disney+. It was one of those films that didn't come out into theaters because of the pandemic, and it's certainly, a theatrically worthy film. It's a really beautiful tale, a literal fish out of water tale, where we have this mer boy who lives under the ocean, and he sees what's going on, on the shore, and he befriends a character, a guy named Alfredo, and they go and have all kinds of crazy adventures on land. They camouflage themselves as humans, and they get up into all kinds of trouble and great adventure, and it's made with a lot of love and a great sense of humor, but also it's a beautiful tribute to Italy as well, which is one of my favorite countries in the world. I love going there, and this almost felt like a vacation to Italy when you were watching this movie. It's so sun-dappled and beautiful and really charming, and I love the story is about the friendship that these two characters have, but with the other young girl that they meet in the movie as well. I also loved, in a completely different direction, Bob Odenkirk kicking ass, literally, in Nobody. That's number 7 for me. And in this movie, he plays kind of a sad sack, guy sort of dealing with a midlife crisis, and he's, out for jogs and throwing out the garbage and getting belittled by his neighbors and stuff, and he's just really kind of, woebegone, and he just looks like the world has been beating him up. But there's more to the story, obviously. He gets pushed around, but slowly what happens is that his true backstory starts to become revealed, and it sort of cracks. It bubbles up to the surface where he sees a bunch of punks on a bus intimidate everybody, and he says, well, I'm gonna teach you guys a lesson. And he does, and I won't spoil anything for you, but it's definitely from the mold of the John Wick films. There's a lot of really crazy action that you wouldn't expect a comedian or a comedic actor like Bob Odenkirk capable of, rising to, but he really does. He sells it. He does a great job with it. The movie was also shot in Winnipeg, and I saw a bunch of Canadian actors in this thing as well, which added to my enjoyment of the movie, but it's really well made. The action is fantastic. It escalates, it gets crazier and zanier, and the intrigue around this character is really well put together. I was shocked at how enjoyable the movie was. It's not a one note, you see it and you can kind of predict everything, and you'll forget about it kind of movie. It is a really, really fun ride. Nobody is number 7. But number 6, we're going back into the animated space, and this one's interesting because it's a fusion of a musical and an animated movie. It's called Encanto. It came out at Thanksgiving in America just before the end of the year, and then it was released quickly onto Disney+. And my family and I watched this over the holidays, and it's really, really charming. It's about a Colombian family that all have magical powers, except for this one girl who does not have any powers, and she's kind of upset about it because all of her family can do all kinds of cool things in the world. Some are super strong, some can heal each other, some can transform into different characters, and so she wants powers of her own. And so this is a real, it's a movie with a message where it's about sort of loving yourself and, not wishing what other people have, and just kind of finding the joy in the world. But it's also about a family kind of working together, and there's some really beautiful songs in this movie. Lin-Manuel Miranda is also a part. He's a big part of this. He wrote the music and all that, and he's an actor in the movie as well, I believe. But the songs are great. The characters are fun. And it's just beautifully animated as well. Encanto was a really, really nice surprise. And I am shocked at the quality of the work coming out of Disney's CG animation studios. I mean, it used to be that Pixar was the crown jewel of Disney animation, but it's really neck and neck in terms of what Disney's internal animation team is putting together and what Pixar is putting together. But you can't go wrong with either Luca or Encanto. They're both amazing movies. All right, we are going on to number 5, and this is a quirky one. It's the Wes Anderson picture called The French Dispatch, and this was a movie filled with vignettes and colorful characters, as all of his movies are, but this is even more, sort of cut up than we traditionally get out of a Wes Anderson picture. It's like we're, rifing through a magazine, and there are different chapters and different stories that we follow. We've got a painter that is embedded inside of a jailhouse, and he uses one of the guards as his muse, and he creates all kinds of beautiful art that ends up becoming incredibly valuable out in the world, and so he's this super famous artist out there, even though he's in prison. And we've also got a food critic who gets embroiled in a huge kidnapping case. And, there's lots of crazy whip pans and lots of use of different aspect ratios for the stories that are being told. It's loaded with all kinds of, celebrities and super mega stars, like fantastic actors like Frances McDormand. Timothy Chalamet is in there. Owen Wilson is in there. I was just blown away by this. Jeffrey Wright is the best, in my opinion, the best performer in the film, but his role is amazing, and he just does an incredible job. But Willem Dafoe is also in this. Just scene after scene after scene, I was really, really impressed by this quirky, weird movie, which you expect out of Wes Anderson, but it also delivered, there's just a lot to enjoy out of The French Dispatch. That's why it's number 5. Coming in at number 4, we're getting into the sort of familiar territory for EP. This is No Time to Die, the last James Bond movie that Daniel Craig is going to star in, and I was riveted by this movie. I mean, I was excited to get out into the theater because this sort of came before the latest big, the most recent outbreaks of Omicron. So this was a movie to escape into, and obviously we've been waiting for years for this movie. It finally released, and God, it was a great escape. One of the best things about the movie is just how beautiful it is. The cinematography and the filmmaking. You can poke holes into the story, and I feel like, the villain is maybe not up to the best standards in the James Bond universe, but visually it's stunning. I think there's some really great performances, some really cool character work, from all kinds of different actors in here, but Daniel Craig especially, he just kind of owns the space, and he owns the character in a really profound way. It's moving, but it's also a really nice homage to the history of James Bond. Not just that he jumps into the Aston Martin, but in every corner of the frame, there's a nice kind of connection to, the stories that this character and this film series have provided us for 60 years now, or 50, for a heck of a long time. And I just thought that the movie itself just really came together in a really wonderful way. It was a great way to celebrate this performer and the action beats and the sequences that we've come to expect out of this series. And it just felt like a marvelous escape. I really, really loved No Time to Die. That's why it was number 4. Number 3 for me is a Marvel movie. This is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and I was really shocked by how much I cared about the characters outside of their superheroics. For a character that I know nothing about. I've never followed the Shang-Chi work in the comic books. I didn't know quite what to expect. I don't think that as Rob Keyes and I from Screen Rant were talking about in the Last Vic's Basement, we weren't really that impressed with the marketing and the trailers that were released, because they didn't really kind of speak to the epic kind of quality and the scope and all of the mystical kind of elements that are a part of this. And I think they wanted to hold back a lot of that stuff and surprise people. But what makes the movie special is Simu Liu and Awkwafina just had an incredible relationship. They were so great together. They were fun to watch outside of all of the combat and all of the the incredible martial arts sequence and that unbelievable bus sequence. They were just great performers, great characters bouncing off of each other. And Simu Liu, no easy task to kind of step into this role, make an impact like he has, with a character that, let's face it, doesn't have the resonance that Black Panther did and does now because of the movies and everything else. But, I don't think that Shang-Chi is just that name brand Marvel character, but he has become that because of the quality of this film. And I think it's because of the human qualities of this movie that it works, like the special effects and the visual effects and all of the action is fun, but it's really the heart and soul of the movie that makes it special. And it was a great origin tale. Everybody is just incredible in that movie. Really, it's one that I've seen a few times now, and I just adore it. It's an amazing movie. In a totally different direction in the superhero space is the Suicide Squad from James Gunn, which completely rocked my mind this year. It's an insane movie. It's another one of the James Gunn movies where you think, how the hell is he going to make this work? All of these different crazy elements, but he does. This is also a movie with all of these famous, super talented people, but he gives them space and he gives them a purpose and a reason to be in there. Even though there's quite a bit of devastation and lots of actors and characters sort of just go flying across the screen. That suicide term isn't used lightly. There's quite a bit of carnage in this movie. You still feel that everybody has their moments, and there's some really, really great sequences, especially with the Polka Dot Man. I just thought that that character was so wonderful in this. I loved King Shark in this, as voiced by Sylvester Stallone. It's very funny, but it's also surprisingly moving and touching, and always satisfying. That's the crazy thing about the Suicide Squad. And I am watching the new Peacemaker show, and I'm having a good time with it, but I don't think it's at this quality. And I think part of it is the movie just escalates and gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then we see these guys face up against this giant alien starfish, and it's just so absurd. Starro from the DC past, which is nuts. James Gunn made that work. This giant starfish is insane. You just you're watching it thinking, why and how did this happen? And only one person, it seems like, could have done that, and that's James Gunn. But the Suicide Squad is incredible. Lots of great action, lots of great humor, and way more heart than it has any right to have. It's really, really cool. But my number one movie, and Liquid 3600 predicted this, yes, is Denis Villeneuve's Dune. This is another film that just will rock your brain if you see this in the theater or in IMAX. It's a massive picture, with lots of beautiful digital CG effects, mated with lots of great practical know-how as well. Like, there's lots of incredible spaceships and cool battles and stuff going on, but you can feel the light, and you can feel the realism, the palpable kind of quality of these things kind of really affecting the actors on these massive open sets and stuff. And, it looks foreign, it looks alien, it looks like we are visiting different planets and a totally different culture, and it's just so well crafted. And I enjoyed the performances. It's certainly a much more cerebral and intellectual escape than it is an emotional one. It's also a movie that really tees up what's to come, because there is no kind of resolution. It's part one of where Denis Villeneuve is going to go with Dune, and the movie suffers a little bit because of that, but it's also, as anybody that has ever read the Frank Herbert Dunes or is familiar with the Dune movies or the Dune work, this is massive, massive stuff that we're talking about here. So I'm incredibly excited about a sequel, but also just to see where else this might lead. There might be shows, there might be multiple sequels, but lots of incredible performances and great characters that are introduced, and also this is about a galactic war, so a lot of characters that we care about meet their end in this movie, but the door is open for lots of different directions for the sequel to go. But more than all of that is just the artistry that was on display. The beautiful visuals coupled with this incredible sound design that really mirrored all of the amazing, mesmerizing work that Denis Villeneuve and his visual effects team put together. It was just a total cinematic escape, and absolutely the best movie that I saw in 2021. So that's my list of 10. I would love to hear yours. If you have 10 films that you saw in 2021, it was a weird year, which kind of was like, I mean, we've still got movie theaters closed in some parts of the world right now, where things were open and closed, and some were released and some were pushed back, and stuff came to digital right away. But we did get some pretty cool entertainment, and those are my 10. But I want to hear yours. We're going to move back to video games now, and I've got my review of Big Brain Academy. Nintendo released a new minigame compilation in December. It's Big Brain Academy, and I had a chance to stream some of this with you guys, and I've been playing a ton of it in both handheld mode and on the television screen. And this is another fun mini game escape, but it feels a little bit weird. I have to admit, it feels a little bit weird because we got the Wario game for the Switch and we got Mario Party, and it feels like boom, boom, boom. We've had these mini game compilations come out for the Switch, and I really feel that was a mistake on Nintendo's part to just push that all out the door. It feels like maybe the catalog was a little slight towards the end of the year, and some of the games that seemed to be quickest to get to market were pushed out there to the detriment of these 3 solid games. Although Mario Party, my family and I played, and we did not have a party with it. It was beautiful, but it was frustrating to play. This one is a little bit more, I think, straightforward. It's also a less expensive compilation as well. It's $30 in the States, so I think it's about $40 in Canada. There's only 20 games in it, though, and that is a cause for consternation, because you're going to see the repetition of these mini experiences over and over again. But this is about testing yourself and memorizing things and figuring out patterns, and you're in some mini games you might be adjusting a clock or weighing different items against each other to see which is the heaviest. And the whole idea here is to make these decisions as quickly as you possibly can. And so the clock is always ticking, the pressure is always high. It was very stressful to stream this because you cannot help but feel judged. You're being judged by the game, and if you're playing in front of other people, you're being judged by other people. But it's also really, really fun. It's very simple to play. It's very tuned. I did feel like I was fighting the controls a little bit because, it's all about snap decisions and snap judgments and being quick with your motor skills to be able to move things around. And I felt like sometimes the controller wasn't moving precisely where I was thinking, because you've got like 4 spots on the screen where you're supposed to hit, and sometimes it'll bounce to the wrong one, or you press the button and it's like, no, I didn't want that. So I do feel like the game would be easier and in certain cases better to play in touchscreen mode. And I've got the Nintendo Switch OLED that I played on, and I have to be honest, I'm not really keen on putting my fingerprints all over the Nintendo Switch OLED screen. I might be a little bit too crazy there, but I don't want to do that. So I decided and opted to play it with the controller, and I did have a few moments of frustration while I was playing it. There's a bunch of different difficulty levels where you're going to be challenged as you go, and obviously one of the things that happens through this repetition is you get better at them, and you also will predict what's going to come up next. So it's not really like the Brain Age games, which were much more focused on sort of assessing your mental acuity and your mental ability, and giving you a judgment that way. This is a lot more kind of lighthearted and simplistic in terms of just giving you something quick to jump into. But it is enjoyable, and I think one of the most interesting things about this game is that there's some pretty solid multiplayer elements in here. You can play against other people locally, which is pretty cool, have like a little big brain party and sort of challenge each other at the minigames, but you can also adjust where everybody's difficulty is going to be. So if you're playing against kids, you can accommodate that, which is pretty cool. But the thing that I appreciated the most was being able to get into ghost mode and play against some of your friends. Now, it would have been great to be able to play real online straight head-to-head on some of these games, and you can't quite do that, but you can play against your friends list in ghost mode, and I enjoyed that. You've got a list of all of the different people that are on your friends queue, and they've got their top scores, so it's a leaderboard type thing. but it does spur you on, and the way that they've set it up is pretty cool. It's like it's like a gauntlet that you're running, and you're learning the game very quickly, and then you jump in, and you can see right here in this thing. This is from the stream where I'm fighting against the Wren and trying to input numbers as quickly as possible, memorize the numbers, and put them into the calculator as quickly as possible. It's very simplistic. The art is very rudimentary. There is also a customization option in there where you can pick up hats and space suits and helmets and all kinds of little doodads, and there's tons of stuff to collect, and you get 10 every time you get 10 coins. You can spend those coins on some kind of customizable element for your character. It's not as robust, clearly, as Mario Party. I don't think it's as quirky and enjoyable as WarioWare, but it's still fun, and it's still solid, tuned, Nintendo caliber escapism. But I do think it doesn't have the sort of longevity as some of the other minigame compilations out there. I'm going to give Big Brain Academy, Brain vs. Brain, a 7 out of 10. All right, let's talk a little bit about God of War. Now, God of War has just come out for the PC, and I have to tell you, it has been absolutely phenomenal to play this game again. To have the excuse to play this game again has just been so freaking cool. You're seeing a little bit of the widescreen mode that I've been playing on. This is recorded right from my PC. It is amazing to be able to play in widescreen on a PC, like the ultra widescreen 21:9, which is something that I did test out. This is such a cinematic game. It's such a cinematic experience, and it's really, really well crafted for the PC. That is benefited by all of the sort of tweaks that you can make in the PC menu. You can adjust the render quality. You can obviously adjust the resolution. There's lots of, fine-tuning that you can do with the controls and, the accessibility options. All of the, beautiful details that you would come to expect out of a modern PC game, applied to one of the tightest and best, most beautifully crafted action-adventure experiences ever. Sony Santa Monica just absolutely crushed this. You can see this is part of the stream that I did. And I've got sort of, newer things that I need to be focused on, but this is such a hard game to pull away from and to stop playing so that I can play something else. It's a complete stunner on the PC, and kudos to everybody at Sony Santa Monica. And apparently they've been working on this port for a couple of years. Like, this PC decision isn't something that Sony has done sort of just on a whim. They've been plotting and planning, and they're trying to put, I know that there were some hiccups with Horizon Zero Dawn, but they're trying to put the best possible product out there with these PC ports. And I think God of War definitely delivers. I tried this on my OLED screen. I streamed some on the 21.9's screen that I have here. This is part of the stream here where I was playing on the 21.9 monitor, even though this is compressed to 16:9 because it's going through HDMI. And then I went through a different port and was able to through a display port, and I was able to play it in 21.9. And I got to tell you, it is so wonderful to sort of stretch the screen out and to see, the cinematic beauty of this game in. I was running at 165 frames per second. It's a stunner. And if you've never played God of War before, I am incredibly jealous. If you have a super fast PC that can handle, the highest resolution and can pump out just something beautiful, you're in for a treat. And Sony, get on those Spider-Man ports, would you? I think the whole world that doesn't have a PlayStation would love to be able to play Spider-Man on the PC. I don't know if I'm going to play more of God of War and come back and tell you what I think of it, because the game is the same. It's a 10 out of 10 game. It's just incredible. And if you've never played it and you have the means now to play it, enjoy the hell out of it. All right, we have one last thing in the rundown today, and that is an unboxing. This is a different kind of an unboxing. I got a sort of a gift package from Microids. Now, over the holidays, I got a special care package from Microids, and I thought that was pretty cool. They sent me some physical games. I don't get too many physical games these days. They sent me Gear Club Unlimited 2 for the PlayStation 5. I looked at this on the Switch ages ago, and it was a big improvement over the first Gear Club game, so I'm curious to check this out on the PS5 and see about all of the enhancements there. I also got the Smurfs Mission V-Leaf, or Vi-Leaf, and I've been wanting to open this up and test this out, play this with my kids, so I definitely will. But this was what really intrigued me. This is the Nintendo Switch Collector's Edition of Beyond a Steel Sky, and I actually talked with Dave Gibbons, one of the artists that helped to kind of create the look and feel of this franchise, and Charles Cecil about this game when it was being released as an Apple Arcade game. And this is a long in development sequel to a previous Steel Sky game, and it was very cool adventure game on Apple Arcade, and it looked like a super ambitious project for the format, and obviously they've been porting it to other machines, and this is the Nintendo Switch version. It comes with a bunch of stuff. I don't want to wreck the packaging. Oh, I see, this comes off like that. There we go. So we have, I guess it's the art book. It's pretty cool. Here, I'll move this stuff over here so it's not in the way of the shot right there. There we go. There's a foreword from Charles Cecil and environment art. So this is more game art than the comic book stuff that Dave Gibbons worked on, which is pretty cool. But I imagine that's also in there. They've got renders of the different plazas and the centers within the game that you walk around in, and it looks pretty cool. They've got renders, and they've got the robots and the different characters that you'll encounter along the way. Okay, so we have this box of goodies right here. Let's see. Let's see what's in here. Oh, groovy. We have like a light up like LED thing here. So this is Beyond a Steel Sky. Got the main character talking with a little robot buddy right there, and I think this all plugs in. I've got one of these for Mass Effect. All right, so you stick that in there like that. Pop that right there like that. Let's see. And then it comes with a little USB cable. Right there, you get a little USB micro cable right there. Boom. So you plug that into the back. Boy, I like USB-C. It's taken us so long to get cables that you could just plug in either direction and they always go in. I like that much better. There's a steelbook for the game. There we go. Okay, so we'll put the steelbook right here. Boom. I'll take the plastic and I'll put that over there. This is the way to kind of celebrate a game like this, huh? And then you have the regular... Oh, look at this. There's all these art cards. Too much reflection. There you go. Union City, Spankles. I love this. And then you get a couple of different stickers as well. You have a little Beyond a Steel Sky dog tag keychain, which is pretty cool. And a little pin, a tiny little pin with a robot saying, "Hi, hi." An actual dog tag right there, so you can have that around your neck. And it has a little bit of the Dave Gibbons artwork in the inside of the steelbook, which is great. I'll open up the game and see if there's anything extra included with the game, like an instruction book or anything like that. So we can take a look at this together. No, it's just the cartridge. So there you go, some super cool physical games from Microids. Thank you so much for sending these out. I'm super delighted to have Beyond a Steel Sky in the collector's edition form for the Nintendo Switch. I will definitely check this out on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/EPN. Listen, I've got... a couple more things, actually. I lied. There's a couple more things. I got a killer hoodie from my buddy VR Grid, who has a channel called Virtual Boys over on YouTube. They actually had me on their podcast not too long ago. I didn't put this on because I wanted to show you what's on the back. Reality sucks. So this is for you, 2020 and 2021. Things are going to start improving here in 2022, right? Yes, they are. But thank you so much. You'll see me wearing the Virtual Boys hoodie on the streams from time to time. It's nice and cozy. I tried it on, and it's very, very cozy. And I also got a crazy care package from Cineplex here in Canada. They're the big movie theater chain. I think they've got chains all over the world, but they sent me something to celebrate Scream, which was #1 at the box office over the holidays, or over the weekend. It did $30 million, and it actually took over in North America, and it took over the top spot from Spider-Man, which was a big deal. And included in this care package, a poster of Scream, Looks like a long sleeve shirt with ghost face on the end of the sleeve right there, which is pretty cool. I haven't had Jiffy Pop in ages, but they sent some Jiffy Pop. When was the last time you guys had Jiffy Pop? Nuts. And some Scream stickers, but this is the most important part. I'm just going to put this down, but I got a ghost face mask. So there you go. Halloween sorted right there. Thank you, Cineplex. That's a very cool care package, and congratulations to everybody that has taken part in building Scream. It's obviously a big success out there. I have not seen it, and when I do, I will review it. But that's going to do it for the rundown today. I really appreciate you all being here. Thank you so much for watching the show live on twitch.tv/EPN. I also stream games there all the time if you're catching this on YouTube. And if you're a Twitch viewer, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/EPNTV. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you all for your support. We will see you soon. And until then, play forever.